Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is so strange. I have so many suspicions. Nah. Sorry. I really want this to work.
We won't make a meme of it.
Probably not.
So my name is Meghan, and I work for a small nonprofit in Northwest Arkansas called New Beginnings NWA. And we work with people recovering from chronic homelessness as a transitional shelter as well as a supportive housing program.
What were you doing in Excel and why wasn't it working?
I work in grants management, and this spreadsheet was meant to be kind of a spend down report, budget forecasting projection for one of our grant awards. I don't think it was formatted well. It wasn't formatted in a way where we could clean data and change data easily, and it just wasn't intuitive as much as I would have liked. Yeah.
Okay. Meghan works at a nonprofit. They receive grant funding, and then they need to keep close tabs on how they spend the funding that was approved. What is the schedule, in what categories, because that's how they ask the grantor to reimburse them for funds spent. Or ahead of time, I don't know the order, but they need to keep track of how they're spending money in what categories. Before we get started, I actually want to share with you phases of how I'm going to do this, because I think it'll be helpful for anyone else building a spreadsheet, whether you're doing a makeover or building from scratch. So the first thing is breaking down what do you need. So in the case of a makeover, I'm going to look at the Excel that Meghan already shared with me, look at the notes that I took when I spoke with her and she explained what works, what doesn't work, what could be better. And then once you have a plan, this seems to work pretty well for me, so I don't have to backtrack as much. You're always going to do some backtracking. So one is just structure, tables and columns. Then let's get relational. What are the relationships between these tables? Once you get to formulas and business logic, you're going to want some dummy data now just to see if your formulas are working. And then what are your workflows, your different dashboards? What's the reporting that you need on top of that? If you need any, what are the access rules that you need? If you're working in a team, who can see what? Testing, of course, access rules if you have any, but just also the workflows. Is this behaving the way that I want it to? Try to look for some edge cases, try to break it a little bit. With testing, you're going to find some things that could be improved. And then I do the formatting for last, or else there's just a lot of fussing with what's bold, what's what color. Just leave that for last. Make it look beautiful at the very end. Meghan sent this over. So every grant is going to have its own Excel file where there is the budget here, and then a scheduled spend down. The spend down schedule, you'll see that here there's activities like rental assistance is this much money. Support services is this much money. They need to have a schedule of how they spend it. And the way that they're doing it here is once it goes orange, that means that was the actual that they truly spent. They're flexible. The schedule might be updated. The budget is inflexible. Once the budget is approved, it must be approved, and there's a deadline by which it needs to be spent. What do we know? There's grants. There can be multiple grants. They only have one in Excel. We're going to do better than that. We're going to keep everything in one place. A grant can have exactly one budget that is approved. But they could have schedules. Once they start spending, they might change their future forecast for the next few months. Every once in a while, they might just want to reconcile these things and have a more realistic spend down schedule. This one's actually a little tricky for me because I've never quite built one exactly like this. Like I don't have an existing structure that I've built a million times over and over, like a CRM or something. So we'll see how I do. So, breakdown, done. Planning, let's go do some planning. I need a table of grants probably. Let's just keep it all in one place instead of cloning this for every single kind of grant. Table of budgets, table of spend down schedules, a rabel. That really it? Do we have a 3-table solution going here? Because that's pretty cool. Okay. So, table of grants. I actually don't know everything I need here. I want to go back to the Excel because there are some ways in which a traditional spreadsheet has some advantages. So in past episodes, we've discussed many times why you want good database structure, good relations, everything with like neat columns, and every row is the same kind of thing. Like every row is a grant or every row is a budget line item. One of the things that's nice about the fact that the view layer and the data layer in a traditional spreadsheet is the same is you can do things like merge and make this dark and bolded, and then randomly have a subtotal right in here before putting in the next bit. Like all this kind of stuff that's very flexible in terms of how you display it. It's very prone to error. Same thing with the spend down schedule. We're not going to have columns with months across the top here. That's not going to scale well, because then what? The second grant needs something for October 2025. I have to add this new column. So I'm just going to have an infinite number of columns moving into the future. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to have months vertically. There's going to be a column called months, and it's going to say 2024 October, 2024 November, 2024 December. But this is nice to just scan your eyes across. This though, having little subtotals in here and little subtotals horizontally and vertically, you know, it is kind of nice, even if it is error prone. There's a blue jay outside my window. He's so big and cute and blue. Okay. So yeah, this is something that traditional spreadsheets make very easy. Super prone to errors for sure. Structure, done. Let's get relational. Let's get a little bit of dummy data in here now, just to make things a little bit easier. Money house. They do housing stuff. I'm just gonna make another one here. It's also gonna be money house. Why not? And this project is why? 4. Whoops. Nah. 4. Amazing. I'm so good at this. Look. The best random generator of all time. Right? Am I on dashboards? Is that what I'm at? Okay. I don't even know. That's right. Let's go back to phases. We got relational. Formulas and business logic before workflows. Okay. Let's do that. So the actual programs. Oh. More errors, friends. More errors. I'm gonna go back to the Excel. The Excel is hell. Look at this. This total, which is supposed to be total spent, it's pulling the projections, not the amount spent. It doesn't stop at the ones that have been spent. Guys, painful. All right, I gotta take a break. Okay, I will be back. What do? Are you even recording? Did I click record? I am. I'm 20 minutes in, not sure what I want to do. Oh, their spend down schedule doesn't have April. Does mine also not have April? Mine does have April. Okay, let me just screen share this other thing. I feel like I'm going nuts. So here, I was looking at the spend down schedule, getting a different total, and what I noticed was October, November, December, January, February, March, May. Skipped April. Yeah. Okay. All right. Going back to the drawing board. I said I'd never done one quite like this, and I'm really trying to figure out the best workflow to prevent problems. So I'm thinking about a new way to tackle this, because the way that I'm doing this and then reconciling things in a bunch of different places is so prone to error. So I'm gonna basically combine spend down schedules and actual spend, which is what I had called line items. Do we have a 3-table solution going here? Because that's pretty cool. All right, so I don't need this table. I don't need this table. Don't need this page. Okay, I think I've simplified this a bit. I think I have the business logic that I want. That's business and logic. I'm kind of doing workflows, but I kind of need to test this to know. Yeah, let me test some workflows. There, that's correct. So that 687 should be matching this 687. Okay, so workflows seem okay. I think reporting is okay. I can come here and see where things are at the grant level. And I can come here and see for each line item, the budget amount, the actual spent, the unspent amount. I'm gonna rebuild this to get the total unspent. That's reporting. I don't need to do any access rules. Oh wait, did I want to do an access rule? No, I did, but I already did it. Once the budget was approved, you shouldn't be able to change this. Oh, sorry. once this is approved. This one. So it goes by grant. I just kind of did some testing and some fixes. I'm going to do some formatting and call it a day. Formatting's done. I'm just going to remove this, but keep it as a reference for later. We're good to go. We're ready to show Meghan. So there's just like a lot of numbers kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the big drawback to a template like this. The part where it is nice in Excel is it's giving you that view and your data in the same place. So you can do things like have something that kind of looks like a calendar. When you're thinking about database, something like this isn't data, it's labels to data. And you don't want to mix your actual data, which is this, with your labels for data. Like databases don't do that. So it's going to look very different because we don't want random labels that are just kind of like disrupting the structure of the data. How can we do this so that it's giving you all the right numbers confidently? Like make that the most important thing before layout. So I'm just going to walk through what I came up with.
That's good.
I have 3 main pages here that we're going to talk about. One is just grants. So these are the awarded grants. So anything that's yellow is something you need to enter, and the rest is being calculated. So for example, the admin %, I'm just having that calculated based off of what was in the budget that was approved. What really matters is the totals, is what is my actual budget total? What is the amount that went to administration? What is cash match? What is program? How much did I actually spend? And how much has been unspent? Then now in planning and spending, this is where the categories actually matter. Like if it's rental assistance, supportive services, administration, HMIS. But the thing that I was thinking, it's you might maybe sometimes have different categories depending on the grant.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the XX555, but in the YY444, I have different categories. I made stuff up. Construction, operations, administration, and leasing. So I made this flexible so that you can use the same structure even as your categories change. And then the last thing was there was like a voucher system, like when you bill the grantor.
Yeah.
And the way you did that was you were just color coding things manually to green.
Yes, I was.
Yes, and it was already causing issues. So now for each one of these grants, when I click on this, it's going to update these 2 tables. And what it's going to say is for every single month, so each row is a month, it's going to say, but what is the total amount you spent? How much of that was just program? So this little information says it excludes administration. And then how much is the cash match based on the program? And then what goes to the grantor, which is just, what are you going to bill them? I
am really stoked to play around with this and start like migrating data over.
This one was interesting for me. I actually did struggle a lot because what I ended up realizing in the workflow was if I had to do spend for all of these same categories in months, and I basically have the same thing for application, and then I'm trying to reconcile it in 2 different tables, the room for human error is too high. So once I realized this should all be in one table, then it was pretty easy. Also, one more thing on this page, if you click on a particular month, so this table on the bottom filters based on your grants. And then if you click on a particular month, like let's say I were to do April here, up here, there's a little quick reference. Like if you wanted to say, what were my actual line items for grant YY444 in April 2025, that's what this is. All this is this exact same table, just filtered. It's just filtering it for you automatically.
Sweet.
So you can very quickly see, wait a minute, my spend was $2,800. Why? Okay, this is why.
It looks really great, and I think that it gives all the information that we need. So I think it'll be really good. Thank you so much for the time that you've spent on this. And I know that it was really confusing at first, and I'm grateful for your perseverance with that spreadsheet.
Isn't this the weird part? But there's no like sign off. It always just ends with me being like, This is also going to be money house. No, this is going to be money condo. No, this is going to be condos for crabs. This is the application. Like this is what was in the application.